somewhere in a galaxy far, far away, the Guardians dipped into their promising pool of prospects and traded for Sean Murphy and Matt Olson. And Sean Murphy hit a home run tonight for the Guardians, and Matt Olson went 2 for 3 and scored a run as the Guardians beat the White Sox and continued to put a chokehold on the AL Central with one of the best lineups in the American League. That didn't happen. I'm sorry to make your night even worse.
You are Locked On Guardians, your daily podcast on the Cleveland Guardians, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Locked On Guardians. Over there is Justin. I am Jeff. I want to say thank you for making Locked On Guardians your first listen today and every day where you do a podcast, and say we have you covered every day. Want to give a shout out to Pink and Blue 12, who talked about how we have great chemistry and that we are never too high or never too low.
We're about to test that theory tonight. We are about to test that theory. We are recording this, by the way, in the 8th inning. Yes. Of the White Sox and Guardians game. It's 7-3 White Sox as we're recording. So we are good. Oh, you son of a. Yeah. We are really going to test that theory tonight. So thank you for the review. We are really going to test your review tonight.
That was some poopsie do. Louis Robert. Hey, if you want a positive, Louis Robert, that is your best possible outcome for Oscar Gonzalez. That is the most similar low walk, high contact, plus power when they can reach it profile. So
except for the defense.
He doesn't have the defense. He has good athletic traits, but doesn't have the defense. But offensively,
which Gonzalez has athletic is more athletic than I ever thought he would be.
No, he's got similar athletic traits. But I'll just take that moment there. I'm gonna maintain some positivity, even though today on Twitter made me want to take my school Chromebook and just throw it out the window. Because people, listen, I understand it's frustrating. We are all frustrated, but my goodness, everyone's taking it to 11 right now. I feel like
it's ugly out there. I mean, look, I'll admit my guilt. I thought, man, Lance Lynn's pitching like trash this year. All he does is throw fastballs. The Guardians are not a good breaking ball hitting team, but they do hit fastballs. And well, turns out they don't hit nothing. I don't know. You're wrong on that.
They do hit double negative. Sorry, my English teacher ways.
That's great. I actually, English is one of the classes I passed, so you're right. I should have been better. I don't know, man. Somebody on Twitter came at me too and was like, I tweeted about Sean Murphy, and I said, this is where the open came from. I said, somewhere in another universe, the Guardians did trade for Sean Murphy, and someone's like, well, you're obsessed with Sean Murphy. Well, they tried to trade for him for 2 straight years. He is literally the best hitting catcher in baseball right now. He's one of the best defenders in baseball behind the plate. So that cures 2 of the Guardians' biggest problems right now. And it would have allowed them to stop mismanaging their 40-man roster, because they would have had to dip into it to make that trade. And a year ago after the lockout, they thought they had a deal for Matt Olson. We talked about this before. In another universe, Freddie Freeman re-signs the Braves, and Matt Olson is a Cleveland Guardian. Now, they probably didn't sign him to extension like the Braves did, because he took a lot of money. But in an alternate universe, they might have pulled off both of those trades, and we're sitting here slamming our heads against the wall for the 8th day of the week on this offense and the lack of consistency. And
I just wonder too. Like, they thought they had a deal at the deadline for Murphy, and then it got changed up. But I wonder if there was any talk at the time to them trying to, like, I'd have to go look when the Josh Hader deal happened, because I don't think it happened at the deadline. I think it was before, but. Like, was there a 3-deemer in place? Were they trying to flip like 99 for Ruiz to then turn around and flip Ruiz to help them get Murphy? Like, I'm curious what that deal would have been at the deadline, because I think 99 is, Josh Hader is a lefty. He's got the bigger deal, bigger name, but with the control, it's like there might have been some logic in that at the time. Like, if they were going to go all in, I can't help but wonder, was it something like that? Was it like flip 99, get Ruiz, flip another prospect? I see my internet's getting low, so I'm actually going to turn the game off just because I don't want to mess with fate.
I got you.
But I'm, I just want, and again, everyone wants to sit there today when I'm like, guys, if Naylor was ready, he'd be up and tell me, hey, the catchers, the pitchers have a terrible ERA when he catches. That's kind of a junk stat we've learned through the years. The whole idea of like catcher ERA doesn't necessarily reflect a ton. It's not very informative. And like, again, catchers are like managers. There's so much that we can't quantify, can't put into metrics that this team values, that if Naylor was ready, he'd be up. I do truly believe that. I don't think it's as much with service time. They find ways to manipulate in other ways with that, or there'd be workarounds, or they might even just start talking extension. I think in some respects, the fact that they have been aggressive in extensions makes it a little less likely. And I know, I talk about it with the pitchers, but that's just because they're soon going to have 6 starters, which maybe they'll run 6 starters. I don't know. But I think
that might keep Civale healthy.
Yeah, good point. I mean, but I think right now the big thing is like if Naylor was ready, I 100% believe he'd be up. Mike Zunino, like I had someone be like, Mike Zunino has done nothing good for the team this year. I'm like, did you forget the first month of the season where he was literally their best hitter? Like the over exaggeration. Now, has he been their worst hitter in the last month? Probably, but that is also Mike Zunino. This is why he is on his third team. This is why he has been well-loved. He's a well-loved teammate, but he's never been any team's answer. Well, he is wildly up, wildly down. And yeah, the defense is worse than it's ever been due to that injury.
That's the problem here. The Guardians have put a premium on. They've said, we don't care what you do offensively. If you can lead the staff, if you can be a good defender. And that's the problem for Zunino. We are long, long away from the days of Roberto Perez and Yan Gomes, where those guys were just the bedrock of the defense, and you could trust the pitchers to throw anything in the dirt. You didn't dare run or steal a base. You didn't have 2 catchers interference in a week, missing Sandy Leon. I saw somebody tweet today that they missed Austin Hedges and Luke Maile. And I got to say, for as bad as Austin Hedges is this year, I'd take his defense again. I know it doesn't matter because right now Zanino's a dead spot in the lineup every time out, and so is Cam Gallagher. And yeah, I know people are going to say, I don't care if the defense is this bad, call up Bo Nayor because you might as well get good offense while you're getting crappy defense no matter what happens. And I do think part of that is true, but there's also an element of leadership to it and game calling and a certain level of preparation. And I'm not saying Naylor doesn't have any of that, but you made a really good, I don't know if you made the comment on the podcast yesterday, if you made the comment off the air, but you said when they called him up at the end of the last season, it really wasn't to play. Yeah, he got in games, but it was really to see this is the level of expectation we expect him. And to Naylor's credit, remember this, he has gone out of his way to learn Spanish. Mm-hmm. There are no problems with the work ethic. No one has ever said a bad word about this guy doesn't put the effort in. It's literally just about a lot of the things that need to improve on defense. Like I sent you a clip on Twitter and I didn't post it because I'm not going to post it out of embarrassment, but there was literally a pitch tonight that he just stabbed at that was in the other batter's box that was a ball 4. So it didn't matter, but it would have been a pass ball because he literally made no effort to get out and get it. Maybe because it was ball 4. Maybe if it wasn't ball 4, he made the effort. I don't know. That, that could be confirmation bias, but these are the things we've heard in the past where he has not moved to block balls or he's tried to I'm not saying lazy, but he
cheats a little sometimes.
Yeah, there are just little things defensively that all add up, and it's more magnified at catcher and it's more magnified on this team right now because of their lack of offense, and they can't make those little mistakes. Not that it matters, because when you make one, boneheaded catcher's interference play and it leads to a 6-run bomb inning, which Bieber kind of fell apart in, I don't know. Yeah, you could get better offense and continue to get bad defense from Naylor when he comes up, I guess. But, they want to have an expectation of being able to handle a staff. And you could say, well, how can he handle Shane Bieber and Cal Quantrill, although he worked with Cal Quantrill on Team Canada for at least one start anyway. And he's caught Bybee and he's caught Logan Allen. So, he's already handled those guys. I don't know. It's just...
I just think if he was ready, he'd be up. I honestly believe that.
I do too. No, I definitely do.
I think there are things, and that's what makes catching hard.
There is a true defensive issue, and I'll go look. I looked it up on the best minor league catching data we have publicly, and this is probably going to vary because Jeff's going to bring this up when we finish this segment off when we go to break. Catching stats internally are way different than they are externally, and there are certain things with catchers you just cannot quantify. And part of that is just leadership and trust and things like that you don't see, which, but I mean, he is 5 of 38 throwing runners out this year. He has a negative in throwing runs on Baseball Prospectus. He has a negative in framing runs. He is a negative in blocking runs. Every track defensive statistic that and Baseball Prospectus does the best out of any service, any website out there tracking defensive stats. They are the gold standard in terms of what's available publicly. They're all bad right now. They're all bad. And I know I didn't look up Zaninos. I know they're bad, but like I said, I know the argument is going to be, well, just get bad offense, just get good offense if you're going to get bad defense. I get that, but I don't think they want to bring him up and have him play bad defensively. And then if the bat doesn't, I don't know, maybe it's risk averse, which we're also going to talk about risk averse issues too.
And it's also like, you don't want to, what you talked about, you're not sharing that video because you don't want to embarrass him. They don't want to call him up and him to
have to go back down. It's tough to send prospects back down. You don't want to do that to guys usually.
No, especially if it's a head thing. Yeah, it's worked out for some guys like Jose and like Andres, but like there are other guys who seem to never recover quite the same way after that situation. And happen. I know we got the rounding second thing, but I just want to point out too, like catching is incredibly difficult. Bryce Harper was a catcher. His offense a lot. Tyler Soderstrom probably could have caught, but some guys, it's like the bat is too good and they give up on having them catch because it's going to like would have taken Bryce Harper estimated, heard at the time, 2 more years to get to the majors if he had stayed a catcher, just because of so much that is in that position. So I am a numbers guy to the hilt. I am a numbers guy, but this, when it comes to catching, you can't just look at the numbers. You just can't. It is a position that is kind of quantifiable, and that's not a cop-out. It's just the truth of it.
And whatever numbers you could look at are better internal than they are external.
Yes.
All right, we'll talk about that. The Guardians lose 8-3. We'll get into that. We'll get into some true false. Wednesday's pitching matchup and some very interesting comments by Jason Kipnis in just a second.
Ooh, fire.
Oh, all right. Well, you don't want to draft any Guardians for Sorare right now. It is a revolution.
I have five. Sorry.
Well, you're going to regret that, unfortunately. It's a revolutionary baseball game where you can draft better players than the Guardians have right now in a marketplace that transforms you into an owner with officially licensed digital cards featuring players from all the other 29 MLB teams that aren't painful for you right now. They do have guys like Jose Ramirez and Juan Soto, who are big parts of the Sorare brand, although Jose Ramirez is also not playing well, if that makes things better. Games happen twice weekly and they span 3 to 4 day cycle. At the end of the week, MLB managers who rank at or near the top of the leaderboards, you can win a variety of rewards, including scarcity cards, game tickets, merch, and VIP experiences. Prizes will vary depending on the competition. So head to Sorare.com/lockedon. That's SORARE.com to draft your team of free player cards, set your lineup, and start competing today to win epic rewards. Again, Sorare.com/lockedon to start playing today, and hit up our buddy Lex Hooper on Twitter for some tips on who to go with in your lineup and how to get some great rewards. And then Wednesday night, if you could stomach it, check Sirius XM for the broadcast between the Guardians and the White Sox at 8:10, Peyton, Battenfield, and Mike Clevinger. We'll talk about that in a little bit too. So fun times.
2 little notes, just kind of putting caps on things. One, I think my biggest complaint tonight is this has been the worst year in terms of control for Lance Lynn in a long time. 0 walks. That they helped him out tonight.
You're making it a lot better, Jeff. You're making it so much better.
2, I know, everyone wanted, quite a few people were convinced Alejandro Kirk was the answer. Currently has a 0.2 WAR and is a below 100 weighted rates created plus. He is tied with Joey Bart and Kyle Higashiyaka. Thank you. And up above him, we see Eric Haas. And I do want to point this out. Like, Nick Fortes has been terrible. My favorite guy. Like, I blew that one. We'll see if he can recover. But my second favorite catcher is, I do kind of sit there and wonder about Connor Wong. If Boston falls apart and they need a backup catcher, he's got the pop time. He's got some athleticism. He's throwing guys out. Like if Boston's bad, he might be the ideal backup catcher is all I'm saying.
Well, Boston's a better team right now, so maybe don't worry about that. Brayan Rocchio called back up today, and this was kind of a mess on
People
Twitter.
Lost their minds about this.
Yes. Jose's on the bereavement list, thoughts to Jose and his family for whatever has transpired there, unfortunately. But who are you going to recall? Like, everyone's like, why are they doing this on the bench?
Jose Tena is the other.
Like, that's fine if you want him to play. I'm not saying I'm not saying they shouldn't play. I'm just saying, like, who are like Richie? Okay, you call it Richie Palacios. That's fine. And then
when was the last time he played on the infield?
It's been a couple years.
Yes.
He was playing left field exclusively until a couple weeks ago, and he got back into center field
because they have no choice
in over a year. Right, I know. So, like, yeah, okay, you can recall Richie Palacios as like a bench bat, a pinch hitter, and a pinch runner. That's fine, but it's not any better than recalling Rocchio. At least this way, you give Rocchio a taste of the big leagues. If you want to be part of your future, you can get him up around some of the veterans. And
his option was already burned. A lot of people had that information so totally wrong on Twitter. Once it's burned, it's burned. It's gone. Right. It doesn't grow back.
That happened in spring training. It didn't happen the first time I called him. That happened in spring training.
Yeah.
And this will be his second time. Whenever he goes back down for Jose, it'll be his second.
5 of those.
Well, 4 technically. The 5th one is when you are exposed. So you can do 4 all year without having the issue there. So yeah, this is just a non-story as far as Rocchio being up. Like, he got his first at bat. That's great. And guess what he did? His first at bat, he swung at the first pitch. It was a 58-mile-an-hour topper that he ended up getting the first on a single, and an overthrow made the second. So immediately he started playing Guardians baseball. Don't hit the ball hard, run, hope for an error, and get to second base. But that has not happened as much as it did last year, unfortunately. But I think the bigger problem is this. Gabriel Arias was at first base because Josh Naylor, had leg soreness, which that's not great because without Jose tonight. Okay, Pete Alonso hit his 14th home run on Monday night or Tuesday night. The Guardians, when they started the game without Jose Ramirez in the lineup, had a combined 18 home runs by the entire team in their lineup tonight. When you take Josh Naylor out of the lineup later in the game and Mike Zunino out of the game, that knocks it down by 8 more. By the time Brayan Rocchio and David Fry got in the game, they had a combined 10 home runs in their lineup all season from those players. So Gabriel Arias was at first because he went from third to first. Rocchio's at third. Andres Gimenez is at second. And Amed Rosario's at short. And this is not to crap on Amed Rosario because he didn't do anything wrong. And I didn't do anything right, but he didn't do anything wrong. But you have literally the worst player on your infield is Amed Rosario out of all those 5 guys, or all those 4 guys. And he's the one playing shortstop.
Yeah.
What are we doing?
Because, here's my theory from a year ago, which I don't think I've ever brought on since you came on. My theory is that's the only position he can play.
Oh, no, that's right. No, that's 100% right.
I think he can't handle anything else. It's weird. In OOTP, there are these guys who are shortstops and only shortstops. Like, they can't seem to pick up or learn another position. And that seems to be Amed. Like, he plays shortstop because it's that or DH. Like, he can't be a super utility guy. We've talked about that being maybe a role for him because he can't handle another position. He is a shortstop.
And I know people are going to say, well, why aren't we asking Tito why this is happening? Trust me, people are asking. And it doesn't matter. We talked about this last week. If you're an everydayer, you heard this. Zach, Andre, Paul Hoynes, Ryan Lewis, Mandy Bell. It doesn't matter if they ask Tito this 1,000 times. Hey, you consider moving Rosario off short or out of the Sioux hole or whatever. And this really isn't the issue right now. But whatever they ask isn't going to change it. And trust me, they're asking these questions. You're just not hearing it in the 3-minute after session on the postgame show. Because it doesn't matter because the answers are bird poop. The answers are going to be, well, blah 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 and blah 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 and blah blah blah. That's all the answers are. You don't get concrete answers. You get, well, we think this way, and we don't have to explain it to you. So it's a communication issue, and you can ask that question all you want, but you're not getting the answer you want. All right, Jeff, do you want to throw it to the next segment, the true false, or do you?
I got a few I'm going to throw up here. So this is kind of I'll jump in here. Yeah, it is what it is, but it's so I kind of wrote this idea of like true false, and Justin got to see some of these, so I'm just going to go ahead and throw the first one up here. True or false? The Guardians missed peak Amed trade value. They could have gotten something good for Amed.
No, I don't. I mean, it does. His performance doesn't matter. It's just time remaining on his contract.
But if they traded him in the offseason or last year, would they have gotten a ton more?
A ton? No. They would have gotten more just, again, due to the nature of how much time was left on club control. That's what really matters here. Everybody in the world knows who Amed Rosario is. Even the Oakland Athletics, who are apparently obsessed with, I mean, Risturgis has been pretty good this year, I should say. He's not terrible, but like they took some weird trades, okay? And even as weird as they are, they know who Amed Rosario is. I'm not saying they're trading for him, but everybody in the world knows who Amed Rosario is. So his performance hasn't changed, and yeah, it wouldn't have mattered. It just mattered team control.
I kind of feel like his value to the team and how well he is loved, because again, I love playing baseball games, and in them I can just sit there and like strip a roster to its studs and then build back. But like chemistry matters, and hey, our old friends at Ultimate Baseball GM are the one simulation game I've seen who put chemistry in and make it something that matters. And I feel like sometimes if you traded Amed, the effect on the clubhouse might have ended up being a net negative on any return you got, because you were going to get like a C-level prospect at best, probably. I don't think he's really netting a ton. Next one, Brayan Rocchio is guaranteed to be better than Amed Rosario.
I mean, there are no guarantees with prospects. We've talked about how the fact that Rosario was a top prospect himself and hasn't really. Okay, Amed Rosario again is not a failed prospect. He has had a solid career as a major leaguer. He is, when you get the kind of production you've gotten out of a prospect like Amed Rosario, you've done something good. The problem is he was just expected to be better, and he hasn't reached those expectations. So no, there are no guarantees. Do I think that Rocchio is overall a better player? Yes, I do think Rocchio is a better player. 2 WAR, kind of the 1 to 2 WAR is kind of your replacement level kind of guy, average player. I think Brayan Rocchio has a chance for sure to be at least as good, and I don't think it's a stretch to say that he will be even slightly better. Like if he's worth 3 WAR a season, that's still better than Rosario, and it's fine. And I think he can be.
Yes,
nothing's ever guaranteed though.
Yes, but you've also compared it to Amed at points in some ways, right?
I mean, there are similarities, true. I mean, he's a gifted defender, athletic, and Rosario was the same way, but there are just like little bouts. Like if you saw the ground ball that he threw to first base on his first attempt, or third base, I should say. Yeah. When he's third, it was a high throw. It was his first attempt, so you can throw some of that away. But there are just little things that pop up with that with him sometimes, and there is a little over aggressiveness offensively. But he has walked more in the minors than Rosario ever did. They're both similarly young for their levels when they were in the minors. But you pointed out that Rocchio offensively has had better numbers, and it's not always about performance. It's about skill set and development in the minors. So performance doesn't always equal out how good a prospect is. So I'll still say Rocchio is better, even though there are some similarities.
I guess my point with this one is always to remember, like, probably the most hyped hitting prospects outside of Lindor they had recently were Frazier and Zimmer, and we saw how that ended up. So like, just always be aware, and like, I don't think we can always assume someone's gonna work. Like,
you've got to watch the guys, and you've got to know. Like, you can't just go by rankings, obviously, because Rosario didn't pan out. That's why I always talk about not scouting the stat line and actually watching these guys, and not just looking at the 2-minute highlights somebody posts on Twitter every night. It's just you got to go deeper than that. That's why I didn't post the Bo Naylor missed catch today. It's like, because you'll go on Twitter and you'll see, Bo Naylor hit a home run, and I've posted highlights like that before, but you won't see the missed catches. You won't see the bad stuff there very often. So you have to be able to go deeper.
For as much as people get mad at Cleveland, I kind of, you can understand if you're a contending team going with known versus unknown.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. Again, I've said before, this is why I do like prospects, because the future is always unknown, which means there are a lot of possibilities. And when things end, or the outcome, it's finite and it sucks, and real life stinks. But the unknown is always more fun. This is why the backup quarterback is always more popular in Cleveland, right? Because that guy isn't screwed up yet.
Yeah,
that's why it's so funny to see, like, every year on prospect lists, college guys go to in the top, like the top 10 of the top 100, because they haven't screwed up yet. And the future is great, and that's fun. It's unknown. It is more fun. Absolutely. That's why I like prospects. But at some point, the you gotta, get on the toilet or get off the toilet.
No, I agree. And not to say they've done everything perfectly. I do think there is points where I would have liked to have seen these guys worked in a little better. But, at the same time, I don't think they've done anything that is a catastrophic failure. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. All right. We'll talk more about that. We'll do a couple more true false questions, and we'll talk about Jason Kipnis' strong words in just a moment.
Hey, we got a new sponsor. Any longtime listener knows I love a new sponsor. And listen, you can. I'm cheap. They Birddogs sent me free pants, and I love it. I'm currently wearing them. Birddogs they have a sense of humor. If you go there, know that some of the titles are titles I'm not allowed to say on the air. So you can go and have some fun. The junior high school student inside of me still had a good giggle when I went to their webpage. But here's what really matters. Not a good giggle, even though that's a nice bonus when you're an adult, is they're comfortable. I got 2 pairs of shorts from them, and I have worn them the last 2 days. They're going to become immediately part of my rotation. Their big thing is I didn't know that, like, the importance of liners in pants. I didn't know this was a thing. I had to get into our group chat and be like, hey, do I request the liner or not? And everyone said, agree. The liner helps with comfort and make you look better is what I found out. So I find them comfortable. These are immediately going to be a pair of pants that I'm going to, anywhere I go, I'm going to be packing my Birddogs. I can say that with confidence. Sometimes you get things, they're not great. These are great. I enjoy these pants. They are comfortable. I could see these as pajama pants, but you can also do them as walking around pants. They are all purpose. They are great. And right now, go to birddogs.com/LockedOnMLB, or I should say /LockedOnMLB. And when you enter the promo code LockedOn, they'll throw in a free custom Birddogs Yeti style tumbler with every order. Mine's up in the box. If I was smart, I would have brought it. Next show, I'll show it off. I'm not going to flash down on my pants. Sorry, everyone. You can thank me for not doing that later, but I am wearing them. I promise you. I guarantee it. Go to Birddogs. Funny names, great comfort.
And before we get out of here, we're obligated to tell you that you should check out Tom Hamilton and Jim Rosenhaus call Wednesday's game at 8:10 on Sirius XM, Peyton Battenfield versus Mike Clevinger, which we'll get to in a second. Okay. We already talked about catchers, so we could kind of move on.
I was going to delete that one, honestly. I think I moved one to the top. Can I go with the front office is too passive?
I want to say yes.
Is it passive, or is it just like they are sticks in the mud? Like
they are difficult. We've heard that before. That they don't move off their value, and in a lot of ways, that is a really good thing because they don't. I mean, well, I don't know. Is it a good thing because they still made that move for Junior Caminero for Tobias Myers, and look what happened there. I don't know. I think overall, yes.
You just want to add to the sadness. Why are you adding to the sadness?
It's a jump off the ledge kind of day. I don't know. I was excited for this White Sox series. I thought, all right, the White Sox stink. They're depressed. Their fans are depressed. Lance Lynn is having the worst year of his career. It's the Guardians hit fastballs well. I thought the series was going to be a continuation of the Guardians, maybe not kicking butt, but at least starting to put things together. Maybe they'll still win 2 out of 3. I don't know, but the series got off to a rotten start, and the only positive was Brayan Rocchio's 58-mile-an-hour single. That was like the positive tonight. So
Miles Straw. I don't know if we're gonna have time, but Miles Straw every time he reaches base should just run like he is on fire or escaping a Tyrannosaurus
Right, just
Rex or
never
something.
Stop running.
He needs to pull everything.
Zero
Don't let it get
steals
into his
again
kitchen. Just pull. I mean, again, it was pull. The data shows that when he is pulling and not being passive, he's close to league average. And if that dude can do that, all of a sudden he's a 4-win outfielder.
0 steals tonight. Just saying.
With 9 hits, 0 steals.
And 2 extra base hits. So it's not like they had a bunch of extra base hits. They run first a lot. Yeah, it's ridiculous. Yeah. Okay. Boy, this is a funny one. Jason Kipnis, hey, big fans of Jason Kipnis here. We've talked about it. If Jason Kipnis ever finds out that we are talking about this podcast, we've wanted him on since the offseason for a while now. He was on Foul Territory today with AJ Przinsky. And I think I can't remember who the other guy was on right now, but There was a segment where, he said that the Mets don't have a lot of good veterans, but no leadership. And then AJ Przinsky said, well, you play with Francisco Lindor, but isn't he a leader? And Jason Kipnis said, I'm going to say it again, all those veterans and no leadership. Jason Kipnis was teammates with Francisco Lindor from 2015 to 2019. That is an interesting comment. And not the first time we've heard it. I've heard that sentiment before, but probably the most direct way we've heard it. Wow.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, and we know that he is maybe not the easiest dude to get along with. Remember the infamous raccoon incident?
Not Kipnis.
Not Kipnis, Lindor.
Kipnis is very easy to get along with.
Yeah, so Kipnis is Lindor's because his issues with Jeff McNeil in New York, which they both signed extensions, everything was, but there does seem to be times where I don't know. There's enough. And again, I hate to bang on him about the name change, but to act like he wants to be that he was. This is dangerous territory, but he never corrected anyone with Frankie. To make
he never corrected anybody. Right, exactly.
After the fact, felt disingenuous to me, because you know what? I have no problems calling someone. I'm not bothered by calling someone their pronouns. I'm not bothered by calling someone their name. I would do it. I am that type of person. But what never came up in my time in the minor leagues? Hey, can you call me this? Or he prefers to be called this. Nobody had that.
And he went by Frankie when he was in Low A in Lake County. I remember because we were there. I was there when he was in the minors there. And you might say, well, he was in Low A. He didn't want to correct anybody. He was just trying to not go by his waves. I mean, he was he was about to be the face of the organization back in 2012 when they drafted him. I mean, he was literally the guy that organization was pinning their hopes on. Not that you can pin your hopes on one guy, but that was the guy they put all their eggs in the basket on when they drafted him. So
there are things I can't talk about, lock and key, sworn away. And it's like, he had no problems letting people know other things.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, it's,
so I think he might just be a lot to deal with. That, like I said, he had that.
And you want to know who
two second basemen in a row he's had issues with, apparently.
And you want to know who has never had a problem telling it like it is? Jason Kipnis has never had a problem telling it like it is. So the fact that it's coming from Jason Kipnis to me is all I need to know. So that was fun. Go check that clip out. I retweeted it. Someone was like, "Oh, if you didn't know this for years," I'm like, "I just retweeted a clip, man." Aaron Civale Rehab start Thursday. That's what we found out. That's a good thing. He's ahead of McKenzie, obviously. So that's and maybe not by long. We could hear McKenzie's not slated to pitch in a rehab game this week, but it could be next week. So I'm surprised Civale is ahead of McKenzie at this point, but
seems like McKenzie in sometime in June, probably, right? He's just
he's going to.
It's a big injury.
I would say Civale probably needs 2, and I would say McKenzie probably needs at least 3 because he hasn't pitched since March. At least Civale pitched in April, and he hasn't been out quite as long. So there's that. Oh, Peyton Battenfield-Mike Clevinger on Wednesday. Look, multiple times this year I've talked about how the pitching matchup doesn't favor the Guardians, and they end up winning those games, going all the way back to the Seattle series. I mean, I don't know if does the pitching matchup favor anybody on Wednesday. I don't think it does because Mike Clevinger stinks. But I also thought that Lance Lynn stunk, and that didn't work out either. So you know what? Maybe I'm just sitting here with a microphone and I am talking to. You're talking to a wall. I'm not saying talking to a wall for you because you're smart. Maybe you're talking to a wall, Jeff. Maybe I don't know anything about baseball. I don't know.
I mean, come on. I said the same thing. Lance Lynn has been hot trash, and then Lance Lynn goes out and has his one good start of the year.
Yeah, you want to know what on the broad? And I don't want to crap on the broadcast, but they were saying, "Oh, Lance Lynn turning back the clock, having a great start. This is what he does." Or is he facing a lineup that's just not good right now? Is it really? Oh, you're tipping your cap to Lance Lynn. He's been horrible this year, but he found a way to have a good start tonight. Did he find a way to have a good start, or is he the same guy he's been, and this lineup's just bad?
Yeah, I mean, especially when you lose Jose Ramirez, you're one guy who was hitting.
And then Josh Naylor.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate. It is what it is. It struggles, and eventually we'll have to sit down and really get into the nitty gritty and see, what are the likely maybe we'll do a mid-season or a quarter of the way season kind of grading of positions and talk about what
That'll
can be done
easy.
or what needs to be done.
They'll have a lower GPA than I did in high school. That's good.
At least they can't beat my first year of college, my first semester of college. I'll put it that way.
No, it can't be worse than my first year of college. No, my second year of college.
Well, hey, we'll have that fun competition on the show. We'll find things. But here's the thing: at the end of the day, it's still early. Hopefully Naylor's fine.
It's not early. At the end of the day, the division stinks. That's what it is.
Yes,
it isn't early, Jeff. It's May.
It's the division's.
It's May 17th.
Awful.
It is not early anymore.
Well, it's what
I know.
About the
I know
third
Memorial
game of the
Day
year in football terms. I think.
I know. Okay, Memorial Day is that official poll that you start looking at things. They're 2 weeks away from Memorial Day, so maybe we can stick with that for a little bit longer. But I think the bottom line here is the division stinks. That's what it really.
Yes. No, you're right. Yeah, the division's terrible. Naylor's shown signs of life. Jose's tracking up. I hope Chris Villegas sits down and explains to Miles Straw, like just pull all the time. Someone sits down with Tito and explains how the base running rules have changed, and that someone sits down with Andres Jimenez and explains why you should never dive into first. If they need someone, I am available. I want to thank you all. I know it didn't happen today, but I'm just always available for that conversation. We're doing like the health family learning at school where you got to sit down and teach hard topics to middle schoolers. I'm willing to sit down and have that hard talk with Andres Jimenez. Thank you all for listening, rating, and reviewing, downloading. It helps. I hope you enjoyed some levity, or at least as much as we could, in what was a infuriating day from top to bottom, start to finish. It was a no good, very bad day. We appreciate all of you for listening, rating, and reviewing. Thank you again, Pink and Blue, for your very kind review. Thank you to all of our everydayers. Zeev, is that it? Did I butcher your name? Always positive in the comments. John Fagan, always positive in the comments. To our random bots, thank you for leaving reviews. You are apparently part of our everydayers. And hey, more comments is better. But thank you all again, and go Guardians, go.